Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. He needed a bride. She needed a breakthrough. A marriage of convenience. Or so they thought. But could it be something more? Let's find out. Let's take a step back from the restaurant and check in with our heroine, Emma. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. He needed a bride. She needed a breakthrough. A marriage of convenience. Or so they thought. But could it be something more? Let's find out. Let's take a step back from the restaurant and check in with our heroine, Emma. After Emma rushed out of the restaurant, her heart raced, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. She hadn't even properly apologized for the mix-up, and now she was practically running down the sidewalk, feeling like the world was judging her. She didn't even look back to see if the man, Liam, was still watching her. She couldn't. She had to get out of there. It was bad enough that she had completely embarrassed herself by sitting at the wrong table, but the thought of her own clumsy behavior replaying in her mind was unbearable. As she hurried toward the subway station, Emma tried to calm herself. She took deep breaths, clutching her coat tighter around her as the cold air stung her cheeks. Her stomach growled, reminding her that she had skipped lunch again. Another consequence of her chaotic life. She had promised herself she would stay focused on finding a way to make a better life for herself. Working as a waitress at a diner wasn't the dream she had in mind. Her passion was painting. She dreamed of opening her own art studio one day. But for now, reality was a different story. Bills piled up, her rent was overdue, and she had no idea where she was going to get the money to eat dinner that night. She thought back to the conversation with Liam. The way he smiled when she apologized, how he hadn't immediately kicked her out of the seat, and the warmth that she felt, despite the awkwardness of the situation. Maybe it was nothing, just a random encounter in a city full of them. Or maybe it was something more. She tried to push that thought away. She couldn't afford to get distracted by a man she would likely never see again. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, snapping her back to reality. It was a text from her best friend, Jenny. How did it go? Was he cute? Emma smiled, shaking her head, even though no one could see her. She typed back, "You won't believe it, but I sat at the wrong table. Total disaster. The guy I was supposed to meet wasn't even there. I had an entire conversation with someone else thinking he was Kevin." Seconds later, Jenny replied, "Wait, so you talked to some random guy? Was he cute?" Emma paused for a moment, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. "He was different," she typed, not sure how to explain it. "He was nice, but not like anyone I've met before. Very quiet, but I don't know. There was something real about him." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The truth was, despite the awkwardness, she felt something. She wasn't sure what it was. Maybe it was just the novelty of meeting someone who didn't treat her like she was invisible, someone who seemed genuinely interested in her life. But what did it matter? He was probably some tech CEO who lived in a penthouse with his glamorous life. She could hardly imagine someone like him taking an interest in someone like her. But even as she tried to shake off the feelings, her thoughts kept drifting back to him, to Liam. She found herself replaying the way he had smiled, the way he had made her feel less awkward, even though she'd made a fool of herself. Hours later, after a long shift at the diner, Emma finally made it back to her small apartment. It wasn't much, just a cramped room in a rundown building. The light flickered above her as she opened the door, and she could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. She dropped her bag on the couch and collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. But sleep didn't come easily. She kept thinking about Liam, about their brief conversation, the way he'd looked at her. She wondered what his life was really like, what kind of man he truly was beneath the surface. The idea that someone so powerful and successful might have genuinely cared about their conversation seemed impossible. But then, why had he been so patient with her? The next morning, Emma was rushing to get ready for another long day. She barely had time to eat anything, and she couldn't stop thinking about her upcoming art show, her big chance to make a name for herself in the art world. She was still struggling to keep her head above water, but this was her dream, and she was determined to make it happen. Just as she was about to leave, a strange feeling washed over her. She had received an email notification. The subject line, "Invitation to a charity gala from an unknown sender." Curiosity piqued, Emma clicked on the email. It was an invitation to a gala for an organization that helped young artists get their start. The email included a guest list, and her eyes widened in surprise when she saw the name at the top, Liam Parker, CEO of Parker Technologies. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. This was the same Liam, the man she had met the night before. Her stomach fluttered, but she quickly pushed the feeling down. What were the chances? There was no way he remembered her. But the idea that he was involved in a charity for artists, her world, made her wonder. Could this be more than just a coincidence? Or was this a chance to make a real connection? She shook her head, unsure of what to think. "Get a grip, Emma," she muttered to herself. "It's just a gala. Don't read too much into this." But deep down, she couldn't help but wonder if the universe was giving her a second chance. With a deep breath, Emma closed her laptop and grabbed her coat. Whatever this was, she was going to find out. She couldn't afford to miss any opportunity, not when everything she wanted was just out of reach. The evening of the gala arrived, and Emma stood in front of the mirror in her small apartment, adjusting the dress that she had borrowed from a friend. It was the nicest thing she owned, but it felt like it wasn't enough. She felt out of place. She had never been to something so fancy, and she wondered if she really belonged in this world of high-end charity events and millionaires. But as much as she tried to talk herself out of it, she knew she couldn't pass up the chance. Not with an invitation to this event, and not with the chance to maybe, just maybe, meet Liam again. As she stepped out the door and made her way to the venue, her nerves crept up on her. The cab ride felt endless. She could barely focus on anything but the thought of the gala. She wasn't expecting much, maybe just a quick conversation with someone at the event, but the idea of seeing Liam again made her feel anxious in a way she couldn't explain. Would he even recognize her? Would he remember the awkward dinner they'd had the night before? When Emma arrived at the event, she stood outside for a moment, taking in the massive building that housed the gala. The tall columns, the grand entrance, it looked like something out of a movie. She took a deep breath and walked inside, feeling the heat from the bustling crowd. She was immediately struck by the elegance of the room. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and people in tuxedos and ball gowns filled the space, talking and laughing, completely at ease. Emma felt like an outsider. She tugged nervously at the sleeves of her dress and glanced around, trying to find a place to blend in. As she walked further into the room, her eyes searched the crowd for Liam. She didn't know why, but she wanted to see him again, to see if he would even remember her. Her heart skipped a beat when she finally spotted him across the room, standing near a group of people, his back straight and confident, his sharp suit contrasting with the more casual attire of the guests around him. He looked the same as he had the night before, perfectly composed, as if he belonged here while everyone else was just pretending. But when he turned and caught sight of her, she froze. His eyes narrowed for just a second, then softened, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. He walked toward her with purpose, cutting through the crowd effortlessly. As he reached her, his lips curled into a small smile. "Emma," he said, his voice warm but slightly guarded. "I didn't expect to see you here." Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. Her mind raced. She had never been good at talking to people like him, people who had it all together, people who could charm their way through any situation. But she wasn't about to let her nerves get the best of her now. Not here. Not in front of him. "I wasn't sure I belonged, to be honest," she admitted, her voice a little shaky. "But I got the invitation, so I thought I'd take a chance." "I'm glad you did," Liam said, his smile widening slightly. "This is a charity event for young artists, isn't it? I'm glad someone like you could make it." Emma blinked, surprised. She didn't expect him to know about the event's purpose. She thought it was just another fancy gathering for people like him, not a place for people like her. "You're here for the artists?" she asked, her voice faltering slightly. Liam's expression softened. "Well, I have an interest in helping people who have real talent. People who need a breakthrough. I think you might be one of those people." His eyes searched hers. his gaze lingering for a moment longer than she was comfortable with. Her heart pounded in her chest. "I'm just trying to make it," she said, feeling a mix of emotions. "I work hard to keep my head above water. This art thing, it's everything to me. But I'm not sure I'll ever really make it." Liam nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I think you'll find a way. People like you. People who are real, don't give up easily." His words were simple, but there was a sincerity in them that made Emma feel as if he truly understood her struggles. Before she could respond, the host of the event called everyone to gather around, announcing the start of the evening's program. Liam gave her a small nod, as if to say they would continue the conversation later. "I'll be around if you need anything," he said before turning away and disappearing into the crowd. Emma stood there for a moment, her mind racing. His words had stirred something inside her. For the first time in a long while, she felt like maybe she wasn't just wasting her time. Maybe there was hope for her yet. She wasn't sure where this connection with Liam was going, but she knew she couldn't let this opportunity slip away. As the event unfolded around her, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she had just been given a chance. A real chance. And no matter how much she doubted herself, she was determined to see where it would lead. The evening continued, and Emma tried to settle into the glamour of the gala, but her mind kept drifting back to Liam. She found herself glancing around the room, hoping to see him again, but he was nowhere in sight. The event had turned into a blur of champagne glasses and soft conversations, all of it too polished for her. She tried to make small talk with a few people, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong here. She was a waitress with dreams of painting, and they were all wealthy, high-powered individuals who talked about investments and art deals as if they were as casual as the weather. She tried to push those thoughts aside, telling herself to focus on the reason she was here. This was her chance to be noticed, to show people what she was capable of. She had to make it happen. And yet, all she could think about was Liam. The way he had looked at her with such sincerity, as if he saw something in her that no one else did. It was confusing, to say the least. She had spent so long convincing herself that she wasn't worthy of a life outside of the diner, outside of her small apartment and her long shifts. But with every word Liam spoke, he made her feel like she was more than just a waitress. He made her feel like she mattered. Then, out of nowhere, she saw him again. Liam was standing across the room, talking to a small group of people. He looked completely at ease, as if this world, the world of luxury and wealth, was where he belonged. His suit was impeccably fitted, his posture perfect, but there was something about the way he stood there that made him seem approachable, almost vulnerable, despite the confidence he exuded. Emma's heart skipped a beat, and she found herself wondering if he remembered their brief encounter the night before. Maybe it had been too brief for him to care, but she couldn't help herself. She took a deep breath and walked toward him. As she approached, he caught her eye and smiled. It was a smile that seemed to soften his entire face, breaking through the walls of perfection that he usually put up. "Emma," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "I'm glad you came." She smiled nervously, her hands twisting in front of her. "I wasn't sure if I should," she admitted, looking around at the lavish decorations and the well-dressed crowd. "I don't really fit in here." Liam shook his head, his expression earnest. "You're exactly where you need to be. Trust me." He paused for a moment, looking at her as if considering something. "I've been thinking about what you said, about your art. I think you've got something special. Maybe this gala is the start of something new for you." Emma blinked, taken aback by his words. She hadn't expected him to bring up their conversation so quickly, but hearing him speak so confidently about her dreams felt surreal. For a moment, she forgot about the glamorous crowd around them. All that mattered was that someone like Liam, was actually listening to her. "I appreciate that," she said softly, her voice catching. "But I'm not sure how to make it work. I've been trying for so long, and sometimes it feels like I'm getting nowhere." She felt vulnerable suddenly, like she was exposing too much of herself. But Liam didn't pull back or change the subject. He just stood there, watching her with an understanding that made her feel more seen than she had in years. Liam's gaze softened. "I get it. I really do. But sometimes, the only thing holding you back is believing in yourself. You've got more potential than you realize." He took a step closer to her, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. "You're here now? That's the first step." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had spent so many years doubting herself, afraid that her dreams were just fantasies, but Liam's words pierced through those walls. She didn't know what was happening between them, but she felt something shift in her chest, something she couldn't ignore. "Thank you," she whispered, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, the noise and chaos of the gala faded away, leaving just the two of them standing there in a bubble of unexpected connection. Before she could say anything else, Liam was called away by a colleague, but not before giving her a quick nod. "We'll talk more later. I'll be around if you need anything." His words were simple, but they carried weight, and for the first time that evening, Emma felt like she was standing on the edge of something much bigger than herself. As Liam disappeared back into the crowd, Emma took a deep breath, the words still echoing in her mind. She couldn't afford to waste this opportunity. She wasn't sure where it would lead, but she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't going to let fear hold her back anymore. She had a chance now, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. The days that followed the gala seemed to blur together for Emma. She found herself thinking about Liam constantly, his words, his sincerity, the way he had looked at her, as if he saw something special. She had never been the type to get her hopes up easily, but there was something about him that made her want to believe that maybe, just maybe, she had a chance. A chance to leave behind the life of a waitress and build something more, something real. She tried to focus on her art, pouring herself into her sketches and paintings as much as she could, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Liam. She hadn't expected to hear from him again, but deep down, she couldn't help but hope that he would reach out. After all, he had been so kind to her at the gala. Maybe he truly meant what he had said. Maybe he saw something in her that she couldn't see in herself. One afternoon, a few days later, as Emma was finishing her shift at the diner, she noticed an email notification pop up on her phone. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the subject line. "Follow up on the gala, Liam Parker." She quickly tapped on the email and opened it. It was brief, but the words made her stomach flutter. "Emma, it was a pleasure meeting you at the gala. I hope you've been able to reflect on our conversation. I'd like to offer you an opportunity to meet again. There's a charity event I'm hosting next week, and I think it could be a great way for you to showcase your work. Please let me know if you're interested." Emma read the email twice, her heart racing. This was it. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. She couldn't believe it. Liam had remembered her. He wanted to help her. She quickly typed out a response, trying to keep her excitement in check. "Thank you for reaching out, Liam. I would be honored to attend the event and showcase my work. I truly appreciate your support. I'm looking forward to meeting with you again." She hit send, her hands trembling slightly. It felt surreal. Less than a week ago, she had been lost in the chaos of her life, unsure of where she was headed. Now, she was about to step into a world that she had only dreamed about, a world where her art could be seen and appreciated. The following week, the charity event came, and Emma found herself standing in front of a new venue. It was even more elegant than the last place. A large, modern building with sleek glass windows and high ceilings, filled with people dressed in their finest. It felt like a completely different world from the diner, but Emma was ready for it. She had her artwork with her, carefully displayed for everyone to see. She wasn't going to let this opportunity slip away. As she walked into the venue, her eyes immediately scanned the crowd, and there, near the entrance, was Liam. He was talking to a group of well-dressed individuals, but when he saw her, his face lit up. He excused himself from the conversation and made his way toward her. "Emma," he said with a smile, his voice warm and welcoming. "I'm so glad you could make it." He looked at her with genuine interest, as if he truly cared about what she was doing. "How are you feeling?" Emma smiled nervously, still not fully used to being treated this way. "I'm a little nervous," she admitted. "This is all new to me." Liam nodded. "I understand. But you're here now, and that's what matters. I'm excited to see your work." He motioned for her to follow him. "Let me introduce you to a few people who might be able to help you. There's a lot of potential here for someone with your talent." Emma felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This was it. This was the chance she had been waiting for. She wasn't sure what would happen next, but for the first time in her life, she believed she was on the right path. Liam was right. She was here now. And that was the first step toward everything she had ever dreamed of. As the evening progressed, Emma found herself surrounded by influential people in the art world. She spoke about her work, answered questions, and even received some praise for her paintings. It was a whirlwind, but Liam was always by her side, introducing her to people who could help her take her art to the next level. By the end of the night, Emma felt a sense of pride she had never experienced before. She had done it. She had put herself out there, and it was paying off. Liam's belief in her had turned into something real. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was an artist, a woman with a future that was starting to unfold right before her eyes. As the event came to a close, Liam caught her before she left. "You did great tonight," he said, his voice sincere. "I'm really proud of you." Emma smiled, her heart full. "Thank you, Liam. I couldn't have done it without you." He smiled back, his eyes softening. "You did it yourself. I just helped you see what you're capable of." As they said their goodbyes, Emma walked out of the venue, the weight of the evening settling in. This was only the beginning, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Weeks passed, and Emma found herself caught up in a whirlwind of new opportunities. The charity event had been a turning point for her. She was now being noticed by people in the art world, and her dream of opening her own studio felt within reach. Liam had kept his promise to introduce her to the right people, and slowly, her life was beginning to shift in ways she had never imagined. But despite everything going well, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She hadn't seen Liam since the event, and while she appreciated his support, she couldn't help but wonder if there was something more between them. She had spent years telling herself she didn't need anyone, that her art was her only priority, but Liam had made her question that belief. He had been kind, encouraging, and seemed to understand her in a way no one else did. One afternoon, as Emma was working on a new piece in her tiny apartment, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen and saw a text message from an unknown number. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the name at the top, Liam Parker. She quickly opened the message, hoping it was what she thought it was. "Hi Emma, I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about you and your art. There's an upcoming art exhibition that I believe could be a great opportunity for you. Would you be interested in collaborating on it? Let me know if you're free for a chat." Emma's heart fluttered. The message felt personal, more than just a professional offer. She quickly typed back, her fingers trembling slightly. "Hi Liam, thank you so much for reaching out. I would love to hear more about the exhibition and the collaboration. Let me know when you're free." She hit send and sat back, her mind racing. This was big. The idea of collaborating with Liam, someone who had already helped her so much, felt like a dream come true. But a part of her couldn't ignore the emotional connection that was growing between them. She had been trying to convince herself that it was just about business, but deep down, she knew it was more than that. She had been fighting it for weeks, but now it was undeniable. Later that evening, Emma received a call from Liam. His voice was warm, as usual, but there was something different about it this time, something that made her heart race. "Hey, Emma," he said, his tone friendly but with an edge of something more. "I've been thinking about the exhibition and the idea of collaborating. But before we dive into details, I wanted to ask you something. How have you been? Really been?" His question caught her off guard. She paused, unsure of how to answer. She had been so focused on her art and her career that she hadn't really stopped to think about herself. But now, hearing Liam ask with such genuine concern, she felt a wave of vulnerability. "I've been good," she said finally, her voice soft. "Busy, you know. But I'm doing well. Everything's moving in the right direction." She hesitated for a moment before adding, "But I've also been thinking about you. About us. About what all this means." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, and Emma wondered if she had said too much. But Liam spoke again, his voice steady. "I've been thinking about you, too," he said, and Emma's heart skipped a beat. "I know I've been a bit distant lately, and I want to be upfront with you. I'm not just interested in helping you with your art. I want to be more than just a business partner to you. I care about you, Emma. I care about what we've started here." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected him to say that. She had known there was something there, but hearing him admit it so openly made her feel both relieved and terrified. "Liam," she whispered, not sure what to say next. The truth was, she had been feeling the same way. She had tried to suppress her feelings, but now, in this moment, it felt like everything was coming to the surface. He interrupted her before she could speak again. "I know this is complicated, but I don't want to ignore it anymore. I think we have something special, and I'm willing to take a chance on it, if you are." For the first time in weeks, Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The fear of the unknown, the doubt that had held her back, suddenly, it all felt irrelevant. She had spent so much time convincing herself she couldn't have both a career and a relationship, but Liam's words made her realize that maybe she didn't have to choose. "I want that too, Liam," she said, her voice steady now. "I think we both deserve to see where this could go." The silence that followed was comforting, like a mutual understanding had passed between them. "So let's do it," Liam said, his voice warm again. "Let's take this chance together." Emma smiled to herself, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She didn't know exactly where this journey would lead, but for the first time, she felt like she was finally on the right path. With Liam by her side, anything felt possible. As the weeks passed, Emma and Liam's connection grew stronger. They began spending more time together, not just discussing art and business, but getting to know each other on a deeper level. Emma had always kept her emotions guarded, but with Liam, it felt different. She felt understood in a way that she never had before. The more they talked, the more she realized how much they had in common, despite coming from completely different worlds. He was supportive, encouraging, and genuinely interested in her well-being, not just her art. Emma found herself looking forward to their time together, whether it was a simple phone call or meeting at a coffee shop to discuss her latest work. But as the relationship grew, so did Emma's doubts. She couldn't help but wonder if she was rushing into something. Was she ready for this? For a real relationship, not just a professional connection? The world she had stepped into with Liam was so different from her own. He was a CEO, surrounded by power and wealth, and she was still trying to make her way as an artist, struggling to pay rent and keep her dreams alive. She wondered if she could ever truly fit into his world, if he could truly understand her struggles. She had spent so many years feeling like she didn't belong in places like the gala, and now she found herself thinking that maybe the same was true when it came to Liam's world. She didn't want to let those fears take over, but they lingered, haunting her thoughts. One evening, as they sat at a quiet cafe in the city, Emma decided to confront her fears. She had been carrying the weight of uncertainty for too long, and she needed to be honest with Liam. As they sipped their coffee, she looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest. "Liam," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "There's something I need to say. I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything that's been happening between us." She paused, trying to collect her thoughts. "And I guess I'm scared. Scared that I don't belong in your world. I've spent so much of my life trying to make it on my own, and now, I'm afraid that I'll just hold you back." Liam looked at her for a moment, his expression softening. "Emma," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "You don't have to be afraid. I care about you. I'm not asking you to change who you are or to fit into a world that's not yours. I'm asking you to be yourself, because who you are is exactly what I've been looking for." He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "You're more than enough, just the way you are." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't expected him to understand, to see her so clearly. She had always felt like an outsider, never quite fitting in. But here, with Liam, it felt different. She felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in her life. She squeezed his hand, the warmth of his touch calming the storm inside her. "I don't want to lose this," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't want to lose you." Liam smiled softly, his thumb brushing over her hand. "You won't lose me. I promise. We'll figure this out together. You're not alone anymore, Emma. Not in this, not in anything." For the first time in weeks, Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Her fears hadn't disappeared completely, but with Liam by her side, she felt ready to face them. She realized that maybe it wasn't about fitting into his world. Maybe it was about creating a world together, one where they both could thrive, supporting each other's dreams, no matter how different they seemed. As they sat there, in the quiet cafe, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she was ready to face it, one step at a time, with Liam by her side. The weeks that followed felt like a whirlwind of excitement and change. Emma continued to grow as an artist, her work gaining more attention and praise. She started receiving invitations to exhibit her pieces at galleries, and for the first time, she felt like her dreams were no longer out of reach. Liam, true to his word, remained by her side, offering both guidance and unwavering support. But as their connection deepened, Emma couldn't help but wonder if there was something more that neither of them had fully acknowledged yet. One evening, as they walked together through a quiet park after a long day, Emma found herself growing more and more aware of the way Liam looked at her. It wasn't just the kind of admiration a mentor might have for a student, or the casual affection one might feel for a friend. There was something deeper in his eyes, something that made her heart race and her thoughts scatter. She had tried to ignore it for weeks, telling herself that their relationship was strictly professional, but tonight, the tension between them was undeniable. "Liam," she said, her voice soft but steady. "There's something we need to talk about. Something I've been thinking about for a while." She paused, taking a deep breath. "I don't want to pretend anymore. I don't want to hide behind the idea that we're just working together. I think there's more between us. I feel something. And I think you do too." Liam stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then, his lips curled into a small, almost imperceptible smile, and he reached out to take her hand gently in his. "Emma," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper, "I've been feeling it too. For a long time now. I didn't want to rush things. I didn't want to make you feel pressured. But the truth is, I care about you more than I can say. You've become so much more than just someone I'm helping with her art. You've become someone I can't imagine my life without." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had known for some time now that her feelings for him went beyond admiration. But hearing him say it out loud was something else entirely. She had been so afraid of opening up to him, afraid of what their connection might mean. But now, with him standing before her, everything seemed so clear. "I didn't know if you felt the same way," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I was scared of what this might mean for both of us. We're from different worlds, Liam. I didn't think someone like you would want someone like me." Liam shook his head, his thumb gently brushing over the back of her hand. "Emma, I don't care about that. I don't care about the worlds we come from. All I care about is the person standing in front of me. I've been looking for someone like you for a long time, someone who understands me, someone who challenges me to be better, someone I can truly share my life with. And that person is you." Her chest tightened with emotion, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. She had spent so much of her life hiding her vulnerability, pushing people away, convinced that she wasn't worthy of love or belonging. But Liam had proven her wrong in every way. He had shown her that love wasn't about perfection or fitting into a mold. It was about connection, understanding, and trust. And for the first time, Emma felt ready to let someone in. "I want that too," she whispered, her eyes meeting his. "I want to be with you, Liam. I've been holding back, but I can't do that anymore. I care about you so much." He smiled, his eyes lighting up with relief and affection. "Then let's stop holding back," he said softly. "Let's take this chance, together." In that moment, with the moonlight casting a soft glow around them, Emma knew that this was the beginning of something beautiful. She had spent so long believing that she didn't deserve a love like this, but now, with Liam by her side, everything felt possible. They weren't just two people from different worlds. They were two souls finding their way toward each other. And for the first time in her life, Emma believed in the possibility of a future filled with love, art, and endless potential. As the days turned into weeks, Emma and Liam's relationship blossomed. What had started as a professional connection had evolved into something deeper, something neither of them had expected. Emma continued to thrive in her art, with more and more people noticing her work. She had found her place in the art world, and with Liam's support, she felt confident enough to take on bigger challenges. But it wasn't just her art that was flourishing, it was her life, her heart, and her future. Liam had shown her that love wasn't about perfection, it was about acceptance, vulnerability, and being there for each other. She felt like she could be herself with him, without fear or doubt. Together, they had created a life that was better than either of them could have imagined alone. One evening, as they sat together in Liam's apartment, surrounded by the warmth of soft lighting and the peaceful hum of the city outside, Liam turned to Emma with a look that made her heart race. It was a quiet evening, no distractions, just the two of them, something they had come to cherish more than anything else. He reached for her hand, his thumb brushing across her knuckles, his touch tender and reassuring. "I've been thinking," Liam said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've come a long way since that first meeting, haven't we?" He smiled softly, his eyes reflecting the same affection that had grown between them. "I remember the night we met, how nervous you were. You weren't sure if you belonged in this world. But look at you now. You've built something incredible, Emma. You've shown the world what you're capable of, and I've been honored to be a part of that journey." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. His words, as always, touched her deeply. She had come so far, but it was with him by her side that she had truly begun to believe in herself. She squeezed his hand, looking into his eyes, her heart full of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice soft but steady. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You've always been there, encouraging me, lifting me up. You've helped me see that I'm worthy of everything I've worked for." Liam's expression softened even more, his eyes full of love and tenderness. He leaned forward, his lips brushing gently against her forehead. "You've always been worthy, Emma. I'm just glad I could be here to witness it." There was a long pause as they simply sat together, taking in the quiet peace that came from being with someone who understood and accepted them completely. For Emma, the fear of not being enough had disappeared. She no longer questioned her place in the world, not with Liam by her side. She knew, with every part of her being, that she was exactly where she was meant to be. After a few moments, Liam took a deep breath and sat up straighter, his eyes locking with hers. "I've been thinking about something else," he said, his voice suddenly serious, yet filled with warmth. "Emma, we've built so much together already, but I want to build something even bigger. Not just in art, but in life. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Emma's breath caught in her throat, her heart beating faster. She hadn't expected this, not at all. She stared at him, overwhelmed by the suddenness of his question, but also filled with a deep, unshakable certainty. This was it, the moment she had unknowingly been waiting for. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, of course I will." Liam smiled, a smile that reached his eyes, and pulled her into a gentle embrace. She could feel the steady beat of his heart against hers, and in that moment, she knew that this was just the beginning of their journey. A journey they would take together, hand in hand, no matter where it led. As they held each other, Emma couldn't help but think about how far she had come. From a waitress with big dreams to an artist on the brink of greatness, and now, to this, an engagement to the man she loved. She had found her place in the world, and she had found love in the most unexpected of ways. Together, they would face whatever came next, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could conquer anything. And as the night drew to a close, with the city lights twinkling outside the window, Emma knew that the future was bright. Not just for her art, but for everything she had ever dreamed of. With Liam by her side, she had everything she needed to build a life filled with love, creativity, and endless possibility.